Okay, this video is going to be a kind of an introduction to the fractional ruler and how to read that. There will be some resources in Blackboard for you to use to practice and a little deeper understanding that you can read through. But what I've got here in front of me, I've got a typical wood ruler that's got inches on one side and millimeters on the other side. Then I have a steel rule, which I'll talk about this again in a little bit. It's inches and millimeters. I got a couple of others over here. This one is an architectural scale, and I'll explain that in the architectural scale video, but it's a scale, not a ruler. And then here I have an engineer scale or a decimal scale. And then there's a combination engineering scale, which has fractions of an inch, a couple of engineer scale, a couple of architectural scales, and sizes, you know, full size and half size. So that's some of the things that are available. I don't know which one will show it best. I think the wood is probably going to show the best, but as you can see, a typical ruler is divided into 12 inches. Okay, let me zoom in a little bit. All right, so you can see the wood ruler here. The line is the 0 point. Okay, and then we've got the 1 inch here, and it is divided in half, and then divided in fourths. Again, notice the length of the lines. And then the fourths are divided into eighths, and then the smallest unit is a 1/16 inch. So you can count the tick marks by 16s. 16 would get you to 1 inch. But anytime you measure or record or write or dimension something, you always want to simplify your fraction down to the lowest denominator. So this measurement would be a half inch. It's 8/16, but we would write it as 1/2. Once we go beyond the 1 inch, then we would say 1 and 1/16, or 1 and 1/8. Okay. Now this one, most of the rulers you'll see will be divided into 16ths. Okay. The steel rule is actually divided into 32nds, and it will say that on the end. Everything else is in 16ths, but the first inch and the last inch on the other end down there is divided into 32nds, and some are even divided into 64ths. See if you can see that right there. Okay, so you can measure accurately with that. With a 16th, the 1/16 is as accurate as you can measure. Anything less than that, a 32nd, you're having to guess or estimate. All right, so just to kind of demonstrate how some of these are going to work, I got a little floor plan here, and I'm just going to measure it in inches. So I would lay my 0 and line it up with the mark and read out, and that reads 1 inch. Okay, so if I were to measure from this point down to here, now I'm reading 2, and it looks like a little bit over 1/8 of an inch. So we could round that, depending on what, you know, which way we're rounding, 2 and 1/8. If I pull back to this one, well, you can't see my 0 mark over there, but then I read this, and now we're looking at 3 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/16. Okay, now in the lab, once you've practiced and gone through some things, you're going to get this handout sheet, and this will be tied to Blackboard, even though it says Angel up here. You'll enter your answers in Blackboard, and the ruler at the top is not to scale. Okay, so you can't measure these with a ruler, because if you look, the printing, it's a smaller scale, so it's not life size. You just have to read that. So the example here is 11/16. If you were to count the tick marks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 11. So that would be your answer. This one, 1 and 3/16. And I'll go ahead and tell you on these, if like this one right here is not on a 16th, it's on an 1/8 of a mark. If you do not excuse me, this one here, it's not on a 16th, it's on an 1/8. And if you do not simplify your answer to 1/8, then your answer will be incorrect. And when you put your answers into the quiz, there'll be instructions in the quiz to tell you how to do that. Or it may be multiple choice. I don't remember. I'll have to look at it and see. But anyway, this is the sheet that you'll use to complete the in-class assignment. Like I said at the beginning, there are a couple of web resources in Blackboard for you to look at. And I'll put a link to a ruler game where you can actually practice and kind of build your skills with that.